I was born under the violet suns of Vorth Prime, the capital of the Council of 17 Species. As a Zarn diplomat, I have spent decades cultivating treaties, brokering ceasefires, and navigating the chaos of an ever-expanding galactic community. I believed in peace, until we murdered Earth's ambassador. I was in the chamber when it happened. Ambassador HFY, the human envoy, stood before the council, tall, calm, with the confidence of a race far younger than ours, yet disturbingly composed. His kind had spread faster than any species in recorded history. We laughed when Earth first joined the Interstellar Assembly, a late bloomer, isolated and primitive. But laughter turned into tension when humanity started making impossible things possible. Faster than light travel with no external infrastructure. AI networks indistinguishable from sentient beings. Planetary defense systems built in weeks. And soldiers. Oh, the soldiers. Genetically enhanced, morally complex, terrifyingly efficient. The other council members feared them, even as we smiled through our teeth. So when an incident occurred in the drift zone, where a Zarn scouting vessel was reportedly destroyed by an automated human defense platform, my superiors saw their chance. We declared an act of war. Cashin stood calmly as the accusations flew. "You trespass into sovereign space," he said, his voice like steel wrapped in velvet. "You lost a drone, not a ship, and we warned you not to enter the drift." High Chancellor Threenox hissed. "You threaten us human?" "No," Cashin said. "I'm warning you." But they didn't want a warning. They wanted an excuse. And so, in an act that shocked even the colder members of the council, Threenox activated the chamber's defense protocol. A sharp whine, a beam of condensed energy. Cashin dropped his knees, a hole seared clean through his chest. The room went silent. Then his final words, rasped in pain, "You don't understand what you've done." For hours later, the human mothership arrived in orbit above Vorth Prime. We didn't see it enter our system. We didn't track its path through hyperspace. It simply appeared. It was unlike anything we'd ever seen. Not a ship, a floating continent forged in black alloy, bristling with weapons whose signatures we couldn't decipher. The vessel broadcast a single message in every known galactic language. "You killed our ambassador. Diplomatic immunity is now revoked." I rushed through the halls of the Zarn diplomatic spire, watching the panic spread like fire. I've seen war. I've seen planets glassed, atmospheres burned, moons split apart. But never like this. Never from the humans. I demanded to speak with their command. Their answer came in silence. The mothership descended, slow, deliberate, breaching our defense grid as though it wasn't there. Missiles fired. Lasers lanced out. Nothing landed. The ship moved with an elegance that mocked our attempts. And then the sky turned red. One shot. One beam of coherent energy, invisible but felt in the marrow of our bones, punched through our planetary shield and bored into the council tower. Our seat of government. Our center of power. Gone. Vaporized. I fell to my knees, not in grief, but in horror, because I understood. This wasn't retaliation. This was a lesson. 6 days later, Vorth Prime was under human occupation. No shots fired since that first one. They didn't need to. Their soldiers walked the streets in silence. Faceplates opaque, exosuits humming with unseen power. Not a single civilian was harmed. Not a single child cried. We weren't occupied. We were preserved. I was summoned to speak with their commander, an imposing woman named General Isla Trent. She didn't offer her hand. She didn't ask if I was comfortable. She simply said, "Why did you kill HFY?" He embarrassed us. I admitted. He was unafraid. General Trent leaned forward. Cashin was not just a diplomat. He was family to us. The firstborn of the Mars Accord. A man forged in the fires of a post-Earth civilization. He was more than a representative. He was our moral compass. Her eyes, unblinking, locked on mine. You shattered that compass. I felt something break inside me. "You don't understand what you provoked," I whispered. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, we do." We spent a century learning restraint, trying to be what the galaxy needed. But every time we showed mercy, it was mistaken for weakness. She stood. From now on, we'll let them be afraid. 12 days later, word spread. Other empires began posturing. The Graal Confederacy announced support for Zarn sovereignty. The SYRN Dominion condemned humanity's brutality. Small fleets began gathering at the edges of human-controlled space. Humanity didn't flinch. Instead, they released footage of Cashin Vyer's assassination from 12 angles, broadcast in unedited clarity. Even those who despised Earth paused, because the footage wasn't doctored. It couldn't be. Everyone knew what they'd seen. That day, 54 species rescinded their support for the Zarn. 2 council worlds announced neutrality. The Graal Confederacy went silent. The SYRN tried to save face by offering reparations, but the humans weren't listening. 20 days later, I was allowed to address the Human High Assembly aboard their mothership. I expected a tribunal, a war council. Instead, I found a room of silence, filled with humans who looked not angry, but disappointed. I speak not only for my people, I began, but for every species who now fears you. Why respond with such overwhelming force? One man rose. He was old, scarred, and wore no military garb. His name, I would learn later, was Nathan Eldar, Earth's last surviving veteran of the Europa pacification, because we tried asking nicely, and it got Cashin killed. He paced slowly. You see us as monsters now, but all we ever asked was a seat at the table, equal voices, mutual respect. He paused beside me. You could have welcomed us. He pointed at the image behind him, Cashin's smiling face. But you killed our welcome. 30 days later, the Zarn are no longer part of the council. We exist under human protection now. Some say we're vassals. Others say we're slaves. But I know the truth. We're survivors. Because while other empires prepare for war, we've seen what happens when humanity stops being diplomatic, when they stop pretending to be civilized. Cashin's death didn't ignite a war. It awakened an old one. A war humans thought they'd buried on Earth, along with their past. And now, the galaxy will learn what we already know. You can provoke a predator, or you can leave it alone. But if you kill one of its own, you don't get war. You get extinction.